Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And how do you know? How can you be sure? How do you know when your team is delivering, when it's running on all 8 cylinders and doing its best work on its best day? My name is Cini, and this is Ahead for Business on USA Global TV and Radio. And today we have a great interview with somebody who's built a team and whose team delivers every day. And we'll be talking to him in just a minute. But first, I'd like to introduce my co-host for this program, the one and only incomparable Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Hi, Al. It's nice to be here. This is a great topic, something that you and I have talked about extensively. And I think our audience is really going to get a lot of value from the guests that we have today.
It's the 2 questions, really. The first is, how do we know when we're doing our best work on our best day? I mean, how do we know that we're running on all 8 cylinders? And the second is, how do we keep that going? How do we inspire our people to make sure that they're always delivering consistently and every day? And we've got a great guest for that. So what I'd like to do now is to introduce our guest for today. His name is Jordan Marks, and he's the assessor for San Diego County. So Jordan, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Okay, Jordan, let's jump right into it. I'll tell the story a little later on how I learned about your team. I mean, how do we know that our team is doing a great job? Well, we know because the people we serve tell us that they're doing a great job. Before we talk about your team, though, I want to talk a little bit about what your team actually does. Now, I know that typically an assessor is responsible for tax evaluations and property assessments, but you do a lot more in your office, don't you?
Yes, well, I'd like to say the first thing my team does is great customer. And then beyond that, I'm the assessor, so we do property taxes. Second, in the recorder, I do your death certificates. And third, I'm the county clerk, commissioner of civil marriages. So when you're starting a new business, that's to my office, or if you're starting a new love journey, that's me when you file your marriage certificate.
Well, and the way we found out about you was a really good friend of ProFit for Teams, somebody that we work with who's been doing a terrific job creating conversations around great teams in Southern California. Laura DeMarco had an experience at your office that she was so impressed by, she felt it would be great to find out where that came from. And okay, I know that in addition to saving taxpayers money in by the way, how big is San Diego County? How many constituents do you serve?
We have 2.3 million residents, and so that makes us the larger of 24 states. So you can call me the governor of San Diego.
and how many people on your team?
I have 4 staff of 450 and a $90 million budget.
Great. And, and the experience, there are so many things to talk about with respect to how you inspire those people. But what really impressed me about the story that I heard from Laura, our teammate, was that she was professionally treated with empathy. People paid attention to her. They listened to her when she talked. These are all the indicators that your team is doing a great job. Do you hear that from a lot of people?
Well, I hope so. Our mission here in my office is to put people first with customer service. That is the number one thing that we do. So I talk to people about taxes, records, wedding, but I said if it doesn't start with great customer service, then we're not doing the job.
Well, and how long have you been the assessor in San Diego County?
I was lucky to be elected in 2022, and I'm actually up for my re-election right now, and I'll be here 4 years.
And you're running unopposed, I think, this year. Isn't that right?
That's right. Very lucky.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the reward for delivering great customer service. One of the things that I really enjoy is people do not expect great customer service from the government, but we show them it's possible with the same budget, without extending taxpayer dollars, and doing it right.
That's amazing. And I think you just nailed it. People don't expect good service. I mean, there's always that sense of dread when you go to a government office, that kind of fear that you're going to be there for a long time and people aren't going to pay attention to you. But you don't have that problem, and I think that's impressive.
Al, I got to say that's the joy, is that we surprise people. But unfortunately, I feel like we should be changing that. We should be the standard, not the exception.
Jordan, one of the things I'm wondering is you mentioned a number of areas where you and your team work with people, and those areas can cause people to be highly emotional, and they're no longer in their logical brain. They're coming to you from a complete emotional perspective. So what type of training do you provide so that people can the people in your team, they take their own emotions when people are basically attacking them, potentially verbally, and they keep it at bay to look for a solution?
One of the reasons we have an elected assessor in California is because property tax is one of the most sensitive places. It's your home, your life. And in our office, we serve our veterans. We have a very high population of veterans here in San Diego County, and many of them are used to dealing with government agencies that don't respect their time and service. And so we get the residual effects of it. You're right, Dr. Jacalyn. We get some veterans who sometimes have PTSD and very angry. And so we do sensitivity training for our staff in that area. But one of the key things that I've implemented is a taxpayer advocate program. And that program allows some highly specialized folks to give them the time and attention that they deserve. And that allows us to diffuse the situation, lead with empathy, and serve with them. And one of the programs we recently expanded with my taxpayer advocate team is our program when you lose a loved one.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that is really beneficial.
This is fucking killing me.
We can hear you.
What's the matter, Jordan? You having technical difficulties?
He can't hear. Can you hear us?
I think
he's not able to hear us for the moment. And
yeah,
it is frustrating when you're on live TV and all of a sudden you're not there anymore.
Well, especially the way TV is done these days. So it's a lot easier when you're actually physically present with your guest. But
I think he's back again. Hold on.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Is one of those wonderful things that we get to enjoy and be unprepared for what happens next.
Well, that's important. I wanted to follow up on Dr. Jacalyn's question, because how do you deal professionally with often emotional problems? I mean, very emotional, often irate people. And I think your office is really, really excellent at that, based on what I've heard. I mean, in terms of really understanding and empathizing with people, where do your people get that? I know Dr. Jacalyn asked about training, but the way Dr. Jacalyn framed today's program was servant leadership, which means they look to you, your team looks to you and your behavior to take their cue on how to deal with the issues that come up. How do you do that?
Well, I think you have to have a standard, and it needs to be measurable, and you have to staff the resources. We try to put ourselves in the taxpayer's shoes and understand what we're going through. And then we give them the resource that if they don't honor our baseline idea, we can serve the customer with respect, and the customer can treat us with respect. And if it gets outside of the bounds of decency, we have additional folks that have elevated training to help serve them. But I have a strong rule in my office. If you don't treat your staff with respect, we're going to wait for you to come back in a respectful way so we can serve you. We want to.
No.
Jordan, one thing that I really believe is that everything in our life is our own responsibility. And what I've witnessed is sometimes, especially when people are dealing with public figures or you're going into a business office, is that people forget their manners. They completely become unglued and they feel like everything that's going on is now something that they are tossing over to the other person and going, well, this happened on the ride here. And they're not saying that, but basically it's kind of like, well, you have to be a therapist in addition to helping solve someone's issue.
And for me, my personal training is in servant leadership. I'm a person of faith, and I believe that I was put here for a reason to serve. And everybody would talk to me with an opportunity for me to help them. And sometimes helping them is reminding them that they can be decent people. And we do it in a respectful way. I'll tell you, one of the first cases I got from the office was an older veteran, 82, and he was dealing with cancer. And he couldn't get the services he needed from the federal government. But we were able to help him with the property tax deduction on his home, make it a little easier for him and his wife. But he was irate. He was cursing. He was unfriendly and unpleasant. And I had to put him aside in the office and give him the space to say, sir, you're not treating with respect. And that's not fair. We want to help you, but we're going to have you come back when you're ready to be respectful. And he broke down into his mouth. He said, I'm sorry. I'm angry. It's not your fault. I'm angry at the system. And your system's working for me, but the rest of it isn't. And you're just the one talking to me. So I'm going to tell you. But then he calmed down enough. He let that emotion happen, and he went back to apologize to the staff respectfully, and we are able to help him. Unfortunately, that's sometimes where we find ourselves. The system's broken and people are angry. And when you're the one to pick up the phone, they take it out on you. And my staff are aware of that. But we're also prepared to help them and say, it's okay. We're going to be here.
That is a great story. And I think that's a great example of the servant leadership that Dr. Jacalyn framed this episode with. So you are hands-on then, isn't that right, Jordan? I mean, if an issue escalates, it can escalate to you and you could take care of it yourself.
Absolutely. I try to empower my staff so it can be resolved at everybody. That it doesn't need to rise to me, but every taxpayer has access to me. Everybody gets a meeting with me, they ask for it. That's what my staff knows. And that's the accountability I have in the system, is that my staff know that every taxpayer will talk to them and they can talk to me, and then we'll all talk together. But I respect my team. They work really hard, but we work together to find solutions.
And Jordan, in the hiring process, when people are coming through to secure employment, what are some of the key personality attributes that you look for someone who's going to be joining your team?
What's wonderful is that the team of 450, I don't have to sit in every interview, but from the top down, and the folks that I hired that I expect to treat it with the same thoughtfulness, is we look for folks that are solution oriented, that smile, that have an idea that they can work with empathy, respect, and success.
Wow, that's great. As a New Yorker, a lifelong New Yorker, I remember Ed Koch used to walk around the city and say, "How am I doing? How am I doing?" And and he got all kinds of answers, and he had to be open to all those answers. And anyway, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because in your emails you have a link that everybody gets to a survey they can fill out to answer the question, "How am I doing?" It was, what do you do with the survey responses you get?
I have a team that reads every response, and I used to do that. We get 6,000 responses a year, wow. And we have a 98.2 positive customer service rating from last year. So we read everyone, and for the ones that ask for a response, the 1.2%, we chase them down, we call them back, and say, "How can we do better?" Now, some of them say we offer coffee and pizza in the lobby, but for those folks, we can't really do much. But we say thank you for the feedback.
That's impressive.
It is interesting how people always go to the pizza parties or bowling or some kind of team thing. And Al's entire business is built on understanding how that is not really as effective. What I'm wondering is, there's so many issues that you and your team have to be up on, that you've got to be aware of. How do you stay up on all the current events that are going on that are impacting the people in your jurisdiction?
Well, two things. One, similar to Ed Koch, I spend a lot of time in the office walking around talking to customers, and I love it. They give me the greatest insight and feedback. But two, I spend the other half of my time in the community. I spend a lot of time in our very large community, traveling and understanding the issues that they're facing and how we can better serve them. Not just in my office, but other offices. And I call the other office and say, hey, have you heard about this? Have you thought about this? Can we work together to solve it?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I know you're an attorney, and you're back, and you used to be. I know we're not, and you used to do that for a living, but at some point in your past, you decided you wanted to go into politics, which is where you are now. Could you talk a little bit about that transition in your life and where that came from?
Well, I graduated law school in 2009, and the legal market wasn't so great. The hiring market wasn't great. And I found that I was pushed down this other path that I didn't expect, into public service, nonprofit service, a lot faster than I expected. And so I transitioned into the jobs that were open, working for an elected official, where I found my heart was filled in a different way than my legal work. And then I also saw I could use my legal mind to better the public.
Wow, that's great.
I think that being in public service, although I have no experience, just I am a public figure, as is Al, but being in public service, you're so much scrutiny about what you're saying, what you're doing. So what is it that compels you 4 years in that you're still here and smiling?
I will tell you, we are doing it better, faster, and cheaper. And that's what I think is driving me, is the fact that I can bring happiness in such a broad scale without having to be one-on-one. I am showing and proving that we have systems that can better serve the people without additional tax dollars, without additional focus, and just doing a great job. And we're implementing business systems in the government and delivering a better product. And I want to show other parts of government they can do it.
It's such a nice change of pace and such a breath of fresh air, because I know that as governor of San Diego, your job is to collect money, collect taxes, basically, and return that to the state of San Diego that you govern. But the things you're proudest of on your website are the opportunities you've had to save tax money for your constituents. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, San Diego's very expensive. And that is not an idea that is exclusive to San Diego. The cost of living across the United States has gone up. The cost of home ownership has gone up. And I believe home ownership is the cornerstone of the successful family. And my job is to preserve it and help deliver more affordable housing to the people of San Diego. And so this last year, we delivered record high property tax savings of $346 million. More for veterans than they've ever received, more for seniors, and more for the future homeowners of San Diego. But I'll also say this out. We've delivered record high revenue to the services that make San Diego great. Streets, life, public safety. We've given them additional revenue. So we've shown we are the gold standard. Great savings and great revenue.
That's a balancing act, and I think you're justifiably proud of that. What is it that makes you proudest being the governor of San Diego?
I will tell you, there is joy watching people get in and out of my office in 15 minutes or less, or online, and have a system that they say, wow, I don't think I expected that service. That makes me smile. And I'll tell you, the greatest joy, similar to like being a parent, is watching your staff get that same joy and excitement and show that it can be fulfilling.
Yeah, that's terrific.
And some of the other services that you provide, you mentioned earlier, marriage certificates, death certificates. I mean, like things at the extremes, right? So you can be there, you and your team, for a moment of joy. And then also when someone loses someone, they need people who are really sensitive and can understand when those certificates are issued. So it's really the full gamut.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we just launched a great program called Navigating Loss. When you lose a loved one and there's a home involved, your family home, you don't know what to do. You're mourning. You're dealing with cleaning out the house. You're dealing with the family issues. And so we created specifically to wrap their arms around you and help you in preserving your family home, low property taxes, and help you successfully maneuver this for you and your family. We're there to help them and make sure they're maximizing their tax savings. But while we're talking taxes, what I really found from this program was the greatest benefit was people were coming in on their darkest day, the day after they lost their spouse. Spouse died and they didn't know what to do, so they went to the office. And we helped them, showed them a path forward, and empathy and sunshine. And that's what they told us, is that on their darkest day, they saw sunshine in our office. And we're showing them our office can be more than just a piece of paper, just administrative. We're a part of your life.
Now, that's actually, that raises another question about another balancing act that I'm thinking of. We have become more conscious publicly of the need for security and documentation. So what used to be a pretty simple process can become a very complicated process, especially for people who may have gone through a couple of name changes from different marriages or from different situations they've been in. And one of the things I think that impressed Laura, who, when she thought this would be a great interview, was the fact that you understood that and walked her through that process and took the time to really understand what her particular issues were. That doesn't get easier. That gets harder the tighter we make things. But you guys do a great job staying up on all that.
Well, I have a team dedicated to advocate on behalf of taxpayers in Sacramento. That's our capital here in California. We have to be thoughtful. We can't make it harder to live. We have to make it easier to thrive. And so, one, I'm a cybersecurity professional, and we guard your data. People in this world are doing nefarious things with your intimate details, your parents' names, where they are born, that information that can help unlock your bank account. We guard them. We take that responsibility very seriously. But at the same time, we're looking for new technology, new opportunity to make it for you to get the burst that you need to get on the cruise ship. You can enjoy that week-long vacation.
One of the things that really stands out to me is the fact that you and your team are really good at building relationships. And I'm wondering, as the world is moving into offloading things to bots, how many phone calls we make and you get the bot. It's like, please let me talk to a person. How are you in your office incorporating AI and at the same time continuing to flourish with relationships that you've already built?
Well, I appreciate that question because I do think AI is having a wonderful impact in many ways. It's making those mundane administrative tasks streamlined. So that way, my experts can do the work that we expect that human touch on. When it comes to answering phones, though, in my office, when I was elected, it took 15 minutes to get the phone. And some might say that's great, and I got the 15-minute phone call. I didn't have to wait that long. But for me, it wasn't acceptable. And so we went and studied our system, put measurables on it, and found that we could actually get the pickup time down after a year of perfecting the system to now we're picking up the phone in 33 seconds. But we are using AI to get you to the most efficient place in those 32 seconds. So we want to make sure we're getting to the best operator possible and not have to go to two to get to the right person. Also, we're finding that some of the answers are available through that AI process, but then also we're not skipping human touch and making it readily accessible right after.
It sounds like you're combining the best of both worlds.
I think the new technology is fantastic, but we can't skip the fact that sometimes Al just wants to talk to person.
Successful technology adopters use technology to accelerate human performance, not to replace people. And It sounds like that's what you're doing.
I think that some people will come to my office with one question because that's the question they think they have to ask. My team's job is to be the investigators that help ask the right question for them. They have to use their expertise, their genius and knowledge to help the taxpayer reach the right question, not necessarily the question they came to our office with. And AI can do that right now.
No.
That's truly an art, getting to the heart of the core of what is the issue instead of whatever in our mind we've come to believe that it might be. So well done to you and your team.
Definitely. Where do you see all this going over the next 4 years?
I think we're going to continue to show that we are winning in my office. We just got 5 national recognitions from the National Association of Counties for our outstanding program. In the next 4 years, we're going to perfect them even greater and teach them. I have 58 colleagues elected across the state of California, and I want to make sure each of them understand what we're doing and how they can easily implement it for their citizens.
That's great. And your people working together with each other, what do you do to facilitate teamwork to make sure that people are working together and not individually on some of the problems they solve?
Well, you have to create the steps, but also the opportunity for everybody on the team to be a part of the leadership and the solution. So we don't come in top down and tell our folks, you have to do it. We create games and let them comfortably engage in these process changing processes and find success and then build it from the bottom up. If the front line folks don't buy into what we're doing, then we're not doing it right.
Yeah.
One of the areas I want to explore based on what you just said is we're familiar with the bell-shaped curve, about 80% of the people doing the work and then 10% are barely breathing, then 10% are excelling. So is your focus with your team to shift that 80% so it's more towards the 10% who are excelling? And if so, what are you doing on a regular basis to encourage that?
Well, it's true. Sometimes on our team, we have folks that are just rock stars and they can produce at such a high level. But that's not sustainable for our team. So we actually spend our time on bringing everybody up to production level. And by having standards, by having numbers, by having accountability, we can then show them what they can be shooting for. And if they're not getting there, we put the resources around them to help elevate them. We're about their success. I don't have managers on my team. I have coaches.
Well said. Thank you.
That shift in business from being a boss to being a coach to working with people to help them develop is everything the 21st century, I think, is about. And it's great to hear you applying that to government. As Dr. Jacalyn said at the beginning of the program, we don't normally associate good service with government offices. And then you come along and prove that it's not only possible, but it's definitely a desirable end state. And you're to be congratulated for that. I think that's just terrific.
I'm just thinking back to people to what's natural. People don't enter their careers to manage folks. Naturally, we want to coach folks. And so by choosing our team, we're not here to do traffic rules and punish people for not producing. My expectation is how can you maximize your production? And that's our reward on it.
No.
I think there's no surprise to me the fact that you have saved taxpayers millions of dollars and you've developed these incredible relationships with your clients, your constituents. They go together so well, but yet people don't always see that. They feel like, well, I'm running the business, it's going to be my way, and people are going to do what I say and they can like it or not. So it's a completely different shift with the servant leadership. And so what would you say to any other government entities out there who are doing things the authoritative, I would say, the way that we know as it's always been?
Well, many of us have labor unions, especially in California. And so when you have a workforce that has a different level of accountability and significant protection for their job, which is important, we have to work within the system. And within the system, we can find that when you show people great service to be rewarded, that's something that a paycheck can touch. And when you show them, they can go home at the end of the day and not have to pile of work on the desk. That's satisfaction that doesn't come in a paycheck, and that they will celebrate above and beyond what the union says they don't have to do or have to do. So we work within these limitations in our workforce in government. But when you put the right carrots, the right incentives, and talk to their human desire to produce and be productive people, they buy into these systems. And when you reward on it, I reward my team. I believe it's very important. If they deliver great customer service, they can win a day off. They can win a few dollars in a paycheck. And that's important to me, to show them, if this is what we value, I'm going to reward you for it.
Yeah, you get results from that. You were talking about systems and process, which is what most people associate typically with solving the kinds of problems you solve. And there need to be rules. Those rules need to be followed. There's no doubt about that. And you've got to be sensitive to that. But every case that comes to your office is a human being with a unique problem, surrounded by a unique context of their life and what they're dealing with, like people who come for help and are dealing with a health issue or dealing with a family issue. Every one of those encounters becomes a little different and a little unique, and you have to kind of meet those people more than halfway, I think, in order to be successful. You teach your people to do that, or they come to you knowing how to do that already?
Oh, I think we have to create the environment for it and the expectation. But I'll tell you, Al, I can tell my folks to be the top servant, give them the most amount of time, but then I have production levels. So if I'm not giving my staff the resources to have the time, to have that ability to meet that moment with that extra care, then I'm not taking care of my staff. So that's what I look at my job. My job is to say, how do I reduce your workload so that you can meet that moment with that person that needs an extra TLC? And we do that by having driven down call volume, put more educational videos online, so less people are showing up at our front desk, make it easier and more accessible. They now have the time to respond and treat each taxpayer, each constituent, the care that I hope that they do, and I know they do.
No.
Yeah, it absolutely comes from the top down. And I know myself in working with teams of people who are in customer service, when they're first getting into their role, they think to themselves, oh, here we go, nothing but complaints. This one's going to say that, and that one's going to say this. And they start making judgments, and they're no longer actually listening to what the person actually says. So you are a very good listener, it appears, from our conversation today and from all of your success. So how do you teach those types of empathy and compassion listening skills from the top down?
I think you have to model it. I think folks have to see it, not just within me, but within the management team and within everybody around them. And so we spend a lot of time training our staff on being active listeners. One of the first things I did when I got here is we implemented a book, How to Influence and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, for my team. We read it together. We had book clubs. We talked about it. And then we talked about it in our meetings for the whole year. We implement these ideas, but then we reinforce them with fun, with activities, with discussion, and with engagement. And so even I sent every one of my staff an anniversary card, but I implemented a Dale Carnegie quote in the card to show them we care about it. It's not just a today thing, it's for your career thing.
You mentioned Dale Carnegie, Jordan, and that there's a quote, I think it's of his, that I remember. The only way really to get people to do something is to make them want to do it, to inspire them to do it, not to direct them to do it or force them to do it. And, I think that the key to delivering service with a team of 450 people is to make sure that there's a fire lit in each of them, and that fire burns in service to the constituents who bring their problems to your office to be solved. So, I also want to make the point too that we get very twisted up about politicians and their personalities and party politics. But what really matters is people in elective office that want to do the work and know how to do the work. Competence, I think, is more important than political party. And I think you really embody that. Just wanting to do the job and knowing how to do the job and knowing how to do it through all the people that do it for you and with you on your team. I think that's great. So where do you see this taking you?
I'll tell you, in a bipartisan world, everybody loves saving money on the property taxes. There isn't a Republican or a Democrat that said to me, "Oh, you're giving me too much money back."
Yeah, I know. So where do you see this taking you? I mean, where do you see this as a career arc for you?
So this job is professional. I'm a certified property tax appraiser, and it has no performance. And in the world that we're in, I think part of the issue is people are consistently looking for their next office instead of investing in the place they're in and make it as successful as it can be. It takes 12 years to change a culture, build a system, and be forward-looking. 5 years to plan a budget, and that's what I'm doing right now, and that's what I'm concentrating on. I owe it to my 450 staff, to our future staff, to make sure that I'm giving them the best work-life balance, the best county office where they can thrive. And so that makes me happy. I think we get folks in office that are like, where am I at in the next 4 years? And they only implement things that are short-term, short-sighted, because they have to be gone and show they did something in a 4-year period. I'm doing it for 4 years, but I'm going to make sure it stays implemented and it becomes part of the life of this office.
Great.
Is it possible
sure
to clone you? Is it possible?
I'm really sure the people of San Diego are happy to hear that. And that's, I know your people are. That's terrific.
Well, and the biggest thing that I'm showing is in our core values in my office, we have 4 core values. We operate with grace, innovation, collaboration, and operational excellence. But grace is the one word that I think I've really brought to the table and shown. Not only do we give that to the taxpayer, but I give it to my staff. They're my customer suit. And so by showing that grace is missing in this world and that is a key component of my office, I'm hoping to bring that back. In the world of the internet, people aren't face-faded. It gives them an ability to yell in his ear, make comments, and not think about the season that somebody might do. And we try to do that. And we're bringing that human touch back to people.
Wow. Jordan Marks, Assessor, Governor of San Diego. It's been a real pleasure catching up with you about the team you've built and the team you're building every day and the work that they do. And I really appreciate you spending time with us today. I know we're about ready to wrap up. Are there one or two thoughts you want to leave people with before we wrap it up?
One thing I'm going to mention is in this world, especially we have all these wonderful sports going on across the world right now. We don't coach ourselves professionally. The only place I see is in sports. Every sport you have a coach. And in my office, we brought a coach for myself, my executive team, my staff. We're not perfect, but we have the ability to be better. But you have to put those coaching resources in place, not just externally for the team to be better performing, but also not manage, but to bring people up to their best and do it with grace.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you so much. I really learned a lot from you today. And we have your website up. What is the best way for people to contact you, and who would you like to reach out?
Absolutely. I give out my cell phone number. It's 619-372-0226. Or you can always email me at jordan.marks@scounty.ca.gov. I try to be available. Can you believe I give out my cell phone number on my business card and I pick up the phone? Sometimes AI does make it our main number, which caused me a little bit of trouble recently. But I get back to folks as quickly as I can because I'm here thanks to the grace of the folks.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And if you would have someone from your staff kindly drop that information into the chat so that people can actually contact you, that would be fantastic. Thank you again for being with us, and we wish you continued success.
Oh,
thank you, Jordan.
Jacalyn, and Al, for this wonderful opportunity and all that you do to connect the best of America to the folks.
Oh, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's reinstilled my faith in humanity, public office, and customer service.
We have Laura DeMarco has been great at starting great conversations about teams in Southern California for our team, ProFit for Teams. And this is an experience that stood out for her, and she thought they'd make a great interview, and she was right. This turned out to be as you said, reassuring and very inspiring conversation with somebody who proves, I think, every day that competence is more important than party. Commitment to service is more important than political positives and negatives. And I think paying attention to that is going to make for a better world for all of us. It's great.
Maybe time to move to San Diego. That's what I'm thinking.
It's a beautiful place. I've been there. It's very tempting. Let me just say that.
We do have Jordan's contact details that he just shared. They are now coming up in the show notes, wherever it is that you're watching. So do feel free to go ahead and reach out. Al Cini, how do people get in touch with you, and what's the best way to do so?
The easiest way to get a hold of me is Al at pro-fit4teams.com. And that's my email address. And the easiest phone number to reach me at is 212-480-3730. And I'll look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to learn our method for helping facilitate the kind of success that we just learned about from Jordan in his team and in his organization. And we have a method to generate the kind of internal positivity that it takes to deliver 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, often for some teams, the kind of service that your customers expect, that your constituents expect. That's what ProFit for Teams is about. So thanks for the opportunity to mention that. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated the conversation with Jordan. It was great.
Still have that 212 number, you sly thing, you.
212-480-3 out of town call collect. I don't know. Did anybody do that anymore? I don't think so.
No. I mean, people want that 212 area code, and you have it. So
I have that.
That's going to be worth some money someday if you decide to get rid of it.
I know it costs a lot of money. That living in New York is not cheap, and but neither is living in San Diego. And it's nice to know we've got some people in government that are sensitive to that, to the cost of living in some of these municipalities. They're beautiful places, but a lot of people, without help from people like Jordan, are forced to move out because they can't afford it. And that's unfortunate. And it's nice to know that Jordan's holding the line on that.
Yes. And thank you again for bringing Jordan to the program. And thank you to Laura DeMarco. So we're going to say goodbye for now. It's been another wonderful episode. If you haven't done so yet, please go over to our YouTube channels, USA, Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and subscribe. We'd love to have you in our community. We're going to sign off now as our next show is coming up. Al, I look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. We'll see you again shortly.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Thanks Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.